There is only one perfect solution, but there are clues that will try to trick our team.
Hello there everyone, my name is Crazy Caleb and welcome to the newest edition of the Vanilla Swirl series, Who's on Gas. This is the way the module looks. It is a combination, for those who are not familiar with how vanilla swirls work, it's basically a combination of a series of different vanillas. Each vanilla, as far as I'm aware, only has 2 combinations with each other, and what we can do here, what this module is a combination of Who's on First and Needy Vent Gas. Now, it doesn't behave like a needy whatsoever. It's actually quite very simple to do. None of these are actually needies from the Vanilla Swirls pack. So let's take a look and see exactly what we need to do with this module. It's a fairly simple module to start off by saying. It is a bit lengthy with regards to how it works, but it's not the worst thing to deal with. So let's get right into this. So now the manual is formatted in a very specific way that we need to recognize, and let's read the rules first off. So read the display and find the line that is in this manual where the word is written in bold. So as you can see, display is bolded, press is bolded, pressed is bolded, last, start, one, strikes, and so on and so forth. In all 13 lines of these manuals have a word that is bolded. And that's going to be our starting position with how we take a look at what we're doing here. So our word is pressed on the display. So we're going to be looking at line 3 because that's the word that's bolded. Press the buttons whose labels match the words in that line in the order they are given in. So, what's going to happen here is we're going to simply be reading line 3, verbatim basically, and we're going to be pressing the words that are present in this line, and that's going to be how we're going to solve this module. Now, this is only the first half of this module, and there's a couple more things that we need to get over with. So, a button may only be pushed once unless another button must be pressed in between. So what effectively this means here is if I wanted to press the, in, and the, and they happen to be, in this case, in the same sentence, what we have here is we press the first, then we press in first, and now it's okay to press the again because there was something at least pressed in between. So, but if there wasn't anything in between and there was 2 thes, therefore that would not work. We can only press the once. So, note the position of the button that was pressed last before the module begins the second phase of this stage. And the second phase is what makes this module very interesting. So, in the second phase, each button will have a single symbol as its label, and a 60-second timer will start counting down from 0. And you can see these symbols with a wide variety of different looks here. And these are going to be each of the symbols that are potentially going to appear on the module. There's only going to be a total of 6, of course. Now, only one button will display a valid symbol, and we're going to use the rules below to find which one of them it is. And now, in the grid given by the number of strikes, use the row or column matching the position of the last pressed button. So, effectively speaking, we have these little eyeballs here. For those of you who are familiar with how Who's on First works, these are going to look very familiar to you. So, this represents the top right, this represents the middle right, this represents the bottom right, and so on and so forth. It's basically just the one that it is focusing a lot more on, very self-explanatory, and it's the same thing for each of these tables. So now, we're going to be using the grid given by the number of strikes. So far we're on 0, and I hope to keep it that way, but in this case, that's what we're going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at this grid. So, let's take a look. So, if the word detonate is written on the display, the valid symbol does not belong to that row or column. So effectively what this means here is, let's zoom in on this thing. And let's say that, for example, top right was what we previously pressed. Top right, and it was whatever it was. And the display happens to be detonate on this specific part of the module. Effectively what this means is that, if we take a look here, it's referring to the valid symbol does not belong to that row or column. It's referring to column like this. All of these grids are now going to be all of these grids are not going to be paid attention to. Therefore, we're only going to be paying attention to this grid, these 3 grids, and these 3 grids. So these total of 6 grids here. Now, the opposite happens. If vent gas is on the screen instead, the symbol in that row or column is therefore valid. So in this case, it would only focus on these 12 symbols, instead of just the 24 that we have to look at here. So, what that effectively means is that we're going to be paying attention to which row and column we're looking at here. And there's another bit that we need to pay attention to. Do not press a button whose symbol is in the same position of its cell in the grid as a previous valid symbol from this stage, even if it meets the 2 rules above. So effectively what's going to be happening here is that there's going to be 3 portions of this module, because what's going to happen here is when a correct button is pressed, the timer is reset and a new symbol will be valid. Repeat the steps above 2 more times to complete 1 stage of this module. So effectively, there's going to be 3 parts that we have to complete for each stage, that for the second part of this, for the second phase, and then we're going to be able to solve the module. So effectively what happens here is, let's say we happen to press this symbol right here, and that happens to be our answer. So effectively what's going to happen here is that was on the middle left, and vent gas was displayed, therefore it was valid in this column. Now for the next stage, let's go to middle left. Middle left is our previously pressed button. Now what happens here, and let's say vent gas was displayed again, we can no longer press anything in the top right position. This is what's going to happen here. So effectively, what's going to happen here is each individual stage we're going to be getting a position of a 2x2 grid, and we're going to simply negate it for the next stage. It's not going to be considered whatsoever. So now, let's say our next button was top right, and let's say it was top left position. Now, let's say it was in the bottom right, so therefore we would go over to here, so in the bottom right position. Now what we're limited to is we're only limited to the bottom half of this row here of these 2x2 grids, effectively. So it's going to be further limiting the amount of symbols that you can select as it goes on throughout the later stages. It does make it a little bit easier for you to do, but it is going to have to make you look around a little bit more. So that is effectively what's going to happen. And finally, pushing the wrong button at any point or running out of time will reset the current stage and give a strike. It doesn't reset the module entirely, so just keep that in mind. It's very nice with that. It could obviously reset and just be a bastard, but I think Speaking Evil has a sense of, some mercy, I think. But this module itself is not that bad. It's 60-second timers for each stage. It completely resets every stage, and 60 seconds is quite generous, which I'm not complaining. Please don't change. So yeah, and then of course repeat every step in the manual again until every stage is complete and the module is of course disarmed. So let's get into this. So now let's start reading this line because pressed is our bolded word. Pressed is our word that we're going to be looking at here, and we're going to be looking at this entire line. So a button is our first one that we're going to hit. That's good to go. May only be pushed once unless another button. Now, we run into a case where button and button would be the next button presses. However, nothing in between was pressed. So, therefore, we're simply going to skip button, and then we're going to do must be pressed in between. Now, we've reached the end of our text. The only other button that we do have to press is going to be in the middle left. So already, let's set ourselves up with that knowledge in mind, and we're going to be pressing middle left as our most previous pressed button. So now, let's take a look. So middle left, hit it. Let's zoom in and enhance on the module. Our word is detonate, so we're going to be ignoring this row. And we're going to be looking at the other two. Now we have 60 seconds, and we need to figure out which symbol we can press that isn't within this row, and only one will be valid. So it's not going to be this 2. It's not going to be the middle left. It's not going to be the bottom left. It's not going to be the top right. It's not going to be the bottom right. So it's between these two. Let's figure out which one's which. It's not going to be the top left. So therefore, it's going to be the middle right. Now, the middle right, we need to actually find this button, is in the top right here. So therefore, we're going to be pressing this symbol. It was in the middle right position as our most previous position. So now it's middle right. So we're going to be therefore looking at this column, and we're going to be avoiding the top right position. So therefore, it's vent gas. So now what we're going to do is we're now going to look at the same column or row. This is therefore valid. So here we go. Now what we want to do is we want to avoid top right. So now let's take a look and see if we can find what we're looking for. Now describing the symbols are obviously going to be a bit of a pain, but we'll manage. Now here, bottom right is valid because of the fact that it is in the top left. So therefore, if we take a look here, we can highlight this, press bottom right. Now we're going to look at the bottom right position here. In this case, the eye is over here. It is vent gas. Now what we're going to do is we're now only going to be limited to the bottom portions because we've already pressed the top left and the top right in these 2x2 grids. So now let's take a look and see what we can find. So it's I don't see you, I don't see you, I don't see you. I do see the mic. The mic, this little mic symbol works. I believe it's an astrology symbol. So now it's in the bottom right. It's in this works. It does, the positions of the module don't matter except for keeping track of which one you press last for the save. But if we press middle right, as you can see now, all three of those red LEDs are gone. One of the stages is lit up, and therefore we're now into a new portion of this module, new stages. And that's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. It's a very simple module. The timing, like I said, is very generous. I never had the warning go off for me whatsoever. And now let's take a look. Our next word is going to be reset. So it's going to be pretty low, I would imagine. Reset right here. When the so now let's read this text. When the correct button is is pressed. We're gonna get rid of this. We don't need that anymore. Is pressed. The timer is. We already have the pressed symbol down. You can't even interact with it anymore. By the way, it should be mentioned. So don't bother with it. Is reset, and a new symbol will be valid. Repeat the steps above 2 more times to complete one stage of the module. Of is the other word that comes up in this case. I believe this should be the last one that we're going to press. So it's going to be middle right to start us off. So it's going to be over here. So middle right, it's good to go. And now we're into this module. So detonate. So we're going to avoid this row here. So let's take a look. So now let's find our symbol that we're missing here. The 2 doesn't work. The whiskey doesn't work. So these 2 don't work so far. That Yankee doesn't work. So the right half doesn't work. The top left doesn't work because it's in that column. The middle left doesn't work. Therefore, it is going to be this symbol right here. So top left is the first position that we're negating. Now, this is in the bottom left, so therefore we're going to be highlighting the bottom left over here. So let's hit it. That was our most previous pressed position. Now we're going to be ignoring this row entirely. Okay, let's take a look. So this makes it simple. All you have to do is just simply find the 5 symbols that are in this row and find the 6, basically. Or you can try and brute force it. It's not advised that you do that. So it's not top right. It's not top left because those are over here and over here. I immediately think I found it. I'm going to make sure, though. It should be the middle left. We ignore this one because that's over right here. We ignore this one over here because it's that one right there in the top left. And there is this one. That works because it's in the bottom right. The reason why this one doesn't work is because it's in the top left. So not every symbol is going to be in the exact same row. So therefore, it's this one. We're going to ignore this one, and we're going to hit bottom right. And this is a bug, I should mention. And I'm just going to finish this up real quick, hopefully. Detonate, and we pressed bottom right recently, so we're going to ignore this row. Yeah, sorry about this, guys. This bug just got fixed. Bottom left immediately works. I can already tell this. Let's hit middle left. And for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to reset this because this is a bit of an annoying needy. There is a bit of an issue. It just actually recently got fixed. I can go ahead and post it in here where Speaking Evil is telling the needy alarm to now shut the fuck up. But that was just a little bug. I haven't updated my game yet, so he's quick with those updates. Let's take a look at one more example. This will be just our one more example, but as you can see here, the reason why this one didn't work, as I was looking at it previously, is because of the fact that it's in the top left position as we had previously beforehand. So therefore, that wouldn't have worked. That's why we had to choose this one, because it was in the bottom right. So let's take a look, and let's do this all over again. So screen is going to be our next one here. So, however, if vent gas is on the screen instead.
Oh, I would love to give you that, but I really can't.
I must have missed the. I'm going to keep going anyways, because why not? And now we're at 1 strike, so now we're going to be using 1 strike. Let's just say I did that on purpose. So, start Start. Where is start? Start will be right here. Yep. So in the second phase, each button will have a single symbol as its label, and a 60-second timer will start counting down to 0. It should be bottom left to finish it up here. So bottom left is correct. So bottom left is over here. It's detonate. We're going to simply avoid this. Now, nothing has been determined, so everything should be in this row except the correct symbol. So the foxtrot, that's a different foxtrot, I want to say. It might actually be the same, but sometimes the lines don't work. It's definitely not the 2. It's definitely not the bottom left one. It's definitely not the bottom right one, because that's over in the bottom left here. It's definitely not the top. Actually, no, it is the top left. The top left is right over here. So therefore, we're going to be hitting that one. That is in the top left position. So we're going to be going over here for the next stage. Top left. And then we're going to be avoiding the bottom left in the 2x2 grids here. So we're going to be avoiding this row. Let's take a look. This one doesn't work because it's in the bottom. It's because it's in the bottom left, so we ignore that. The I does work here, yes, but it's in the bottom left, so it's not going to work. So this is row taken care of. The 6T is in the row. We don't care about that. This one is in the row. We don't care about it. This one's in the row. We don't care about it. Where's that uniform at? I think it should be this. Yes, it's uniform. It's in the top right in the 2x2 grid. That works. And it's top right in the actual module. So let's do top right. So top right here. And fed gas, it's going to be limited to this row. So we're going to be avoiding the bottom left and top right. So we're only going to be looking at the top left and bottom right. So top left, bottom right. We do have the mic again, so therefore this works. Just like that, we're done with stage 1. So now let's go into the second part of this module. So let's go 2. 2 is going to be right here. Do not press a button whose symbol right here, is in the same position of its cell in the grid as a previous valid excuse me, symbol, and middle left was our final press. Middle left for 1 strike. Detonate, we're simply going to be avoiding this row. Let's find what isn't in this one. We've got the bottom right here. That's there. It looks like the foxtrot is going to be the one that we're looking at, actually. Just to make sure you're present, you are present, you are present, and you are present. So therefore, it's going to be this one to start us off. That's in the bottom right. Let's hit it. So bottom right, we're going to be looking at vent gas. So it's going to be within this column. So let's go here, blue. And we're going to be avoiding the top left. So let's take a look. So we don't have that Yankee. We do have this whiskey. So whiskey is in the bottom left here. So therefore that works. So let's hit that. That's in the top right. Top right is going to be over here. And we're going to be hitting detonate, but we're going to be avoiding this column here. So let's do that. And now we're going to be simply avoiding the left half of this. So we're only going to be looking at the right half. So we don't have this symbol. We don't have that symbol, it looks like. We don't have that. We don't have that. We don't have that. We don't have that. No Yankee, that's what I like to call it. We don't have that one. We don't have that weird mic. We have this one right here. In this case, this one's in the bottom right. It's not within this column, so therefore we can do bottom right. Just like that, we're done with stage 2. Okay? Now, let's go on to the last stage, pressed. So it should be pretty straightforward. A button may only be pushed once, unless, so bottom right is going to be our starting one. Just make sure a button may only be pushed once, unless, okay, another button must, top left, okay, top left was our previous left position. Vent gas is what it wants, so it's going to be this row, therefore. I'll keep looking. We know that the foxtrot's down here. We don't care about that one. And let's see if we can find the mic, this little swirly mic over here. So therefore, we're going to be pressing the top right next. And now what we're going to do is we're going to avoid the top left position in the 2x2. Okay, vent gas, so it's going to be within this area, so we're going to be avoiding the top left. Let's find it. It's going to be this one, bottom right. So bottom right is going to be what we're going to be pressing here. We're going to go over to this area. We're going to be avoiding the top half for this next bit right here. Okay. And now on to detonate, we're going to be avoiding this column, and we're going to be avoiding the top half of this. So that should be pretty straightforward. So avoiding the top half, we only have a series of 8 symbols that we can actually look at here. It's not this one, 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 not that one. I might have overlooked it. Oh, I forgot to include these up here. Not that one. 16, yes, middle left. And just like that is a solved module. Apologies for that that media alarm going off earlier. I would have definitely done that first attempt all the way through, but obviously I didn't reload my game correctly. And that's all there really is to this module. I feel like this module is explained well enough with one example, basically. And yeah, as always, thank you guys for watching. Remember to stay crazy, stay cool, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.